Here we go. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel. I am your host, the average handgun enjoyer that your mom said that we have at home. Thanks for watching. The purpose of today's video is I'm going to talk to you about some beginner recommendations and I guess intermediate recommendations for where to spend your money and where to invest your training when getting started out with concealed carry, personal protection, home defense, and duty handgun use. This is going to hopefully guide you in the right direction. So with all that being said, the emoji for the video that I want you to leave down in the comments is going to be a brain emoji, because some of you need to use your brain to save some money in all the right areas. So hopefully this video will guide you in the right direction. Real quick, guys, we got to pay the bills. Hit the like button, leave your brain emoji, and if you want to get access to our Discord server where you can stay up late and find buddies to train with, game with, and do whatever people do in Discord servers late at night, consider becoming a member of the Patreon channel. It's only $5 a month. Gets you access to our Discord server, okay? Additionally, Palmetto State Armory. There's only going to be a couple shout-outs to PSA throughout the video. However, they do support the channel a little bit. If you use the link down in the description below, it helps out more than you know. Thank you. If you want to see any behind-the-scenes stuff, check out the Instagram. It'll be linked down below. Okay, guys, so getting started out with concealed carry, and it's not really just getting started out, it's more where should you invest going forward? And if you're not actively training, and if you're trying to figure out, okay, I am training, but I need to know, where do I go from here? What's the next step? What should I really invest my money on and your brain power? Because hopefully you're thinking and not just blowing money on useless handguns, okay? So this video will hopefully guide you in the right direction and tell you how to actually get good instead of just being a scrub and not actually being able to protect yourself efficiently or carry a duty weapon, okay? So use this video, send it to your buddies that you know are wasting money in all the wrong areas. With that being said, the number one worst advice someone can give to somebody is to buy a revolver. Revolvers are antiquated. They're slow to reload, generally speaking. The best revolver shooters in the world can sometimes be outclassed by an intermediate shooter with a semi-automatic handgun. That is a fact. No, not everybody is Jerry Mikulik. Okay, you're not him. I'm not him. He probably has imposter syndrome about being him. So you are not that guy, pal. So revolvers, if anyone tells you, yeah, you should just get a revolver, that's a bad idea. Even if your person you're telling that to is elderly or small of stature, that is all stupid advice. So anytime you hear it, go, just get a revolver. They're simple and they're reliable. One, they're not reliable. If you get any dirt in a revolver, 9 times out of 10, I guess I'm not even going to say a statistic, they start to malfunction more often than a modern semi-automatic striker-fired handgun. So revolvers are an automatic no-go. I want to talk about the next classification of weapon that you should steer people away from, and that's going to be something like this. This is a Glock 43. I see it all the time. Dudes will buy their girlfriend a Glock 43 because it's small and it fits their hand. Well, let me tell you, you just bought her, or if you're a female for some reason watching this and you are buying your boyfriend a gun, which is a weird dynamic, but I'm here for it. Guess what? You probably shouldn't get them a pocket rocket because that's what they are. They're pocket rockets, they're hard to control, and they won't have a fun time at the range, okay? Yes, are they small and you can conceal them really easily? Yeah, they're good for like a gym gun, but that's for the more intermediate to advanced, and honestly, I would recommend you steer clear of it and go with some of the better options. So one of the worst options is going to be something like this Glock 43. And I know that's going to surprise some of you because the next, one of the guns later on the list is one of my most carried guns, and I've shot this gun a lot, but I would never want to compete with this gun. And yes, all firearms should be, have their special niche, right? However, I am a firm believer if you wouldn't carry it for duty or at least carry it for concealed carry, it probably shouldn't be in the mix. So I would definitely, if you're just getting started into this, I would definitely avoid the Glock 43 size or super single stack 9mm guns. Yeah, I would avoid them, okay? So Glock 43 is going to be in that list. One thing I should note, every gun you're going to see today is going to be a 9mm. That is on purpose. 9mm is the way forward as of right now. It is the NATO round, okay, so it is the most commonly adopted cartridge for sidearms in the modern world, okay? So 9mm will be the only cartridge I recommend in today's video for personal protection, home defense, duty use, concealed carry. So if you're carrying a 10mm, why, dude, okay? Just my thoughts on it. If you disagree, you can put your brain emoji down in the comments below, and we'll debate it if I even see your comment. Okay, so this is going to be kind of there's going to be an asterisk on this. So we're just going to say a full-size double action, single action pistol. This is on the list. This is where the list actually begins. This is a recommendation. However, this is an M9A4, okay? The reason why I say, yes, the M9A4 is on the list, obviously because I own it, and it's one of my favorite handguns. You kind of have to decide, and you have to put your money where your mouth is, okay? So if you're going to get into something like this Beretta M9A4, you need to realize, yes, they're extremely reliable. You have second strike capability. That means if you fire the pistol and it doesn't go off, you don't immediately have to tap and rack. You can literally just try to fire it again, and that second strike capability can sometimes be a great service. But the reason why I would slightly discourage the M9 for concealed carry is because they are heavy. They're heavy, they're bulky. You do get the capacity that you need, okay? 17 or 18 plus 1 most of the time in a full size like this M9A4. But I would have it lower on the list because they're going to be extremely heavy compared to some of the other options. They're harder to train if you're going back and forth from a double action, single action. So this is going to be lower on the list for that reason, especially for the new shooter. However, for competition and for duty use, the Beretta M9 is legit. However, you would have to find a carry gun that is a compact version of this, which do exist, but now the average cost of these units are going to be about $400 more than a lot of other options on the list and in the discussion today. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. Yes, you can mount a red dot on these. I don't, because I just enjoy the irons for whatever reason on this Beretta. However, you need to remember, for somebody getting into shooting, it's going to be fun at the range and during competition with something like this Beretta, but it's not going to be fun to carry. And if they're not carrying it, that means they're not armed, and a gun left at home or in the car is useless, okay? So Beretta M9A4 with decocker only is going to be the first real recommendation on the list, but it's going to be a major minus for the weight and a major plus for the weight, and for the same reason, for follow-up shots, okay? Moving on. This is going to make a lot of people kind of mad, but we're going to talk about it. Okay, we're going to talk about a competition-oriented or full-size, long-frame striker-fired handguns. This is a Shadow Systems DR920L, okay? The reason why this is lower on the list, it's still a recommendation, but for the obvious reasons that are going to be a downfall are going to be barrel length. A first gun for a new shooter, this is definitely going to be something they leave at home. So this is definitely going to be lower on the list. However, talking about red dots, a lot of these guns you can put a red dot on, so barrel length isn't really impacted. Obviously, you get more velocity, but for the sight picture aspect, the red dot sight negates to have the longer sight radius at all. So that's why this is going to be lower on the list. Now, obviously, I own it because they're freaking legit. But like I said, this is going to be better for duty and competition shooting and home defense. But for concealed carry, having that long slide, okay, and that long Glock 17 size grip down here, it's not going to be very pleasant, okay, unless you're doing stuff out and around on your property. And then that's really where something like this and the Beretta lie is. If you own a lot of property and you don't mind open carrying on your property, that's where these are going to shine, and on the flat range. But using them for any sort of concealed carry, these are going to both be a major minus, okay? So full size or long slide striker fired, and the double action, single action. Okay, the most controversial gun on my list, and again, obviously I own it, and obviously I recommend it. However, for the average person, this one is going to take a hit. This is a Staccato C2. It's their basically Glock 19 size Staccato, obviously a 9mm double stack. Has a polymer frame and a steel slide, okay? Some of them come with aluminum as well. I believe this is aluminum, so I might have misspoke there. So aluminum and polymer. The reason why this isn't number one on the list, it might shock some of you. So I'm going to preface what I'm about to say by saying this. These Staccatos are extremely reliable, extremely accurate, and they're fun to shoot, right? They're a blast on the range. However, here's the reality. They're sometimes kind of finicky. You're more prone to have a malfunction with this 2011 than any other gun on the list so far. That is a fact from my experience. Once they get past around 2,000 rounds without cleaning, they start to have some weird issues. They're better than they used to be. The mags are legit. So the reason why this is not number one on the list is because the average shooter is not actually shooting the gun. So they're not going to learn the manual safety, okay, like this one has. They're not going to learn the manual safety like they should, and they're not going to maintain the pistol. A lot of people will not maintain their handgun properly or to the point they should be, especially if they are competing and shooting a lot. From my experience, this handgun, you need to clean it around every 1,500 to 2,000 rounds to be 100% that it's going to go bang. Now, if you are in that camp that is actually going to maintain the pistol and clean it every 1,500 rounds, then yeah, this is probably going to be number one on your list. However, that is why it's not number one on my list. Once again, these are relatively light, not as light as the number one choice. However, they're pretty legit, okay? So I'm not totally hating on Staccato. Now, this is where the real list honestly begins, okay? So hopefully, I'm probably not going to edit it. Hopefully everyone will stay tuned to the end. Honestly, this is a real good choice for a first gun for a concealed carrier. This could be interchanged with the SIG P365 XL or weapons just like it. This is a Glock 43X with the Trijicon orange front sight and green rear sight, metal sights, okay? The reason why I love these, it's 10+1. Yes, I do not recommend the shield arms. I have several videos on that topic already, but these are freaking legit. They track really well. Yes, they're going to have a slightly more recoil than some of the other options on the list. However, they're extremely concealable, and they're extremely fun to shoot. It's not like the other pocket rockets. Because you have a little bit longer grip, you can have faster follow-up shots, and you're not going to be out there jerking the trigger and worrying about recoil and dipping down on your follow-on shots, okay? You're not going to become as recoil sensitive for those newer or intermediate shooters. So I definitely would recommend, in my top three, now that we're getting into the top three, okay? My number 3 choice for a new shooter is going to be a Glock 43X or a SIG P365 XL, because the magazine capacity, the size, they're small, they're shootable, and honestly, they're fun and they're a vibe, kind of like this one with this baller paint job. Okay, top two, and we do have an honorable mention after the top two. Okay, I'm kind of torn between the two. They're basically the same gun, but it's not going to shock anybody. A Glock 19X, okay, or a Glock 19. And if you're, I will say this, if you're taller than the average person, just interchange everything I'm about to say with a Glock 17. Stock Glock. Both of these have night sights, okay? This one has Trijicon, this one has Glock factory night sights, so all the way green. The reason why this is number 2, obviously, they are tried and true, okay? I can count probably 30 or less my entire life malfunctions with all the guns I'm about to show you, okay? All the stock Glocks I'm about to show you. The reason why is they're tried and true. They're a known quantity. Obviously, you can mount lights on it like this Glock 19, but the Glock 19 family OEM with metal sights, night sights, are freaking legit. I highly recommend them. If you only needed one gun as a do-it-all, I would say buy 2. Just buy 2 Glock 19s and roll with it the rest of your life. You'll be happy. Parts are interchangeable. You can compete with it. You can get good, kid, right? You're not going to be trash. So if I had to recommend a realistic number 1 choice, or number 2 choice, I guess I should say, would be the Glock 19 stock. I've had the most success. I've competed with them. There's videos on the channel of me competing. This gun probably has the most rounds out of almost any gun I have. Glock 19X, Glock 19X. It's a vibe. They track really well, they conceal really well, and they hold a lot of bullets, right? So number 2 pick is definitely the stock Glock. Now, if you're taller than me or you're taller than the average person, just interchange that with a Glock 17 if you want a little bit bigger grip. However, honestly, the 19's pretty legit. Number 1 pick, okay, is going to be literally in my shooting experience, I have competed the best, had the most fun carrying, and all the things in between, even as a LARPing duty gun, because obviously I have to carry the M17 at work. But the Shadow Systems MR920 with whatever red dot you like, okay? This is a Holosun. The reason why I like this one over a standard Glock is because it has all the excess weight taken out of it. The barrel is fluted. The weapon itself has cuts in it to make it slightly lighter. The grip is a little bit more aggressive, and it follows a little bit of a Gen 3 with some Gen 5 vibes, but it's very much a Gen 3 Glock with a low mounted red dot mounted directly to the slide. These shadow systems are legit. I do recommend you break them in. That is one asterisk with this handgun. I recommend running 500 rounds. The second you get the handgun, mount the red dot, Loctite it. The next day, go out and burn it down. Make sure you zero it. But yeah, the shadow systems, MR920, as long as everything's working good for yours and the quality control is up to what it's supposed to be, this thing has been legit. And I don't think you can go wrong. It carries really well. It's lighter than your standard Glock 19, even though it basically is a Glock 19. Takes Glock mags, obviously. And the shadow systems, this one has been legit, okay? So this would be my number one pick for sure. I carry this appendix a lot of the time, or at the 4 o'clock. I've carried it in tons of videos, shot it in tons of videos, and with the red dot on there, it's awesome. It tracks really well, and as long as you train with it, this thing is going to get it done every day of the week, okay? So Shadow Systems MR920. Now, if you've gotten this far, it means you're a real fan, so a reminder to hit the like button and leave your brain emoji because you're going to use your brain, especially for this next choice. Now, this is going to be for all my homies that are balling on a budget and they still want a reliable handgun. And with that being said, as I collect my thoughts, the freaking dagger, the PSA dagger, okay? As I get in trouble for doing things on YouTube, the PSA dagger is awesome, okay? You can get a Gen 3 Glock or a Shadow Systems, and the PSA dagger is going to work on all your former Glock stuff. The triggers are okay out of the box, and they come with night sights, metal night sights, and they're not bad, okay? So I definitely, as an honorable mention, would recommend the PSA dagger. They run good. Same thing as the Shadow Systems. I would recommend a 500 round break-in. Make sure everything's Loctited on properly. Make sure your sights are actually Loctited in and everything's working the way it's supposed to be. But I've had only one issue with this dagger, and that was the rear sight came loose, okay? But once I got that thing Loctited in, no difference than, honestly, a Gen 3 Glock. They're awesome. So if you're balling on a budget and you're like, I need a trench, I need a first gun, I don't know what gun I should get, well, get a PSA dagger, break it in, put a ton of rounds through it, and then when you're not balling on a budget, just upgrade to something like, where'd it go? Oh, I'm holding it. Upgrade to something like a Shadow Systems, okay? And guess what? As long as it's the same family of Glock size, you can still use the Shadow Systems and dagger parts interchangeably, okay? So that's a big brain move. You're saving money on a gun. You can buy more ammo, and when it's time to upgrade, you already have your backup parts in your dagger, okay? Obviously, they're not very fancy, but it's whatever. You can get fancier ones, or you can get the bare stock one like this one. Guess what? It shoots the same, and you're going to be fine, okay? With all that being said, post down below what your go-to handguns are, what your recommendations would be on this list, and what you agree and disagree with. Be cool with each other in the comments, guys. Have a good weekend. Don't forget to leave your brain emoji so you actually use your big brain to get something that works for you. And until next time, this is going to be Trench Grenade, your average, I guess, PSA dagger enjoyer, signing off. Cheers.